I am Jayasooriya L.P.M under registration number 3990. Bank process million of transactions every seconds. Even a 1/10th of a percent fraud rate transactions to the billion of dollars of annually losses. So fraud has a code in real time before authorizations while listing it ingenious custom activity through. And I built a real-time layered fraud detection pipeline using Apache NIfi. It ingest transactions and applied for parallel detections rule and classifies each transaction into a 4 risk tiers and routing to the right downstream actions like block, manual review, or setups of authentication or auto approval, while keeping a complete compliance audit trail. I chose the data flow architecture for the reason. First, fraud detection is fundamentally about moving a transaction, a stream of event, which is exactly what data flow architecture expresses. Second, regulators require a complete audit trail of every decision, and NIfi gives me a provenance for free. Every flow file carries its lineage. Third, risk team need to return thresholds without redeploying code. So configuration has to be in the first class concerns. The pipeline implemented 5 enterprise integration patterns, pipes, and files. Every processor itself contains files and auto. The pipeline is deposed into the 4 processor groups. Injection generate the validate to the transaction, and enrichments add customer profile metadata. And fraud detection is the analytical core, and it's run the rule and classified stops to the audit logs and routes. Response actions, they execute the tier specification reactions. Each group has explicitly types of input and output forms, so the transaction between the stage is enforced. In the production, this would be belong different teams. Generate transaction produces synthesis transaction every 5 seconds. In production, it would be a Kafka consumer subscribe to the bank's transaction input. The transactions body is a JSON document which fields for amount, country, merchant like hour of day, card types, and channels. And validate transactions schema is the anti-corruption layer. It's extract this mandatory field using JSON path and any flow file, and fail validation is route to a failure relationships ultimate to the error directory. This guaranteed every downstream process is operating on known complete schema. Enrich adds a customer host, country tier, and lifetime spends an attribute in production. This would be a database lookups against the customer's master table. Here, update attribute is the sufficient demonstration of the pattern. This is the analytic heart of the pipeline, and apply a rule engine. Evaluate 5 parallel detection signals, large amount of this country, black list countries like it, and each signal become a Boolean attribute into the flow file. Classify risk level combines those Boolean into a single attribute level like critical, high, medium, and low. Then we get the 2 patterns. Audit all transaction implement, it's wired to the tabs, disconnect the directory of the classification risk level, and wired every transaction in an audit directory in a parallel with the routing path. The audit cannot be live decision. This is extract the property regulation demands for PCI DSS sections and tank logs. Route by risk is a content-based router. It is evaluate for predictable dispatches for the for matching output. This unmatched relationship is auto terminated, so system fail across over the routing is more dangerous than under routing is fraud. Let me run the pipeline and generate transaction files every 5 seconds. NIfi is running in Docker, therefore I run commands to look all the detections, and here the transaction have been routed across all 4 risk tiers, and every one of them has been simultaneously returned to the audit logs via tops. Look at the block transactions, country code is 0, which is the AML blacklist. This router correctly identified as critical, and the responsive branch float in the block directory. The data confirm the role file. Every 4 files carry a provident metadata, and I can pick any one of these lineage. The chain of process is traversed. The attribute the change of each steps is extract the timestamp that will give the system auditable and make investigationable possible without any extra pumping. And in this project, I add parameter context in globally. In here, I add all the environment parameters in here. If If you need to change in here, you can change it here by without any hard coding. In production, I would replaceable generate transaction with the Kafka consumer. It swap the rule engine for the hosted machine learning model to collect via invoke HTTP and replace the file sync with Kafka producer to feed in the downstream microservices. The architecture supports each of these substitutions without touching the rest of the flow. Thank you.